The Samsung Q-Series TVs were some of the most popular models of 2020. The way that Samsung organizes their settings and picture modes is a little bit different and can have some extra steps compared to some of the other TV brands. But we'll clear up any confusion and go through the menus to help you find the settings you want most. We're excited to get our hands on the 2021 models in the coming months, but if what you've seen so far hasn't got you excited, it may be worth it to pick up a 2020 model at a discount. Hey, I'm Alex, a tester here at Ratings.com, where we help you find the best products for your needs. Make sure you subscribe to our channel for the latest videos, or check out our website for full reviews and settings. Today, we're going to look at the Q70T, the Q80T, and Q90T picture settings, since they have such similar settings. We're going to go through our recommendations. I want to stress that these are just our recommendations, based on our testing with specialized equipment. That doesn't mean it's the be-all, end-all of settings for your TV. We'll also show you how to double-check your refresh rate, resolution, and signal quickly and easily. We'll start by taking a look at the interface of the TVs. The Samsung Q70T, Q80T, and Q90T all use the same interface that uses the Tizen operating system. By pressing the Home button, you bring up the menu bar that lets you choose apps, change your inputs, and bring up the main picture settings menu. Usually, this is where you'll find the ads and suggested content. Unfortunately, there's no way to remove the ads from the TV, so you'll often see someone trying to sell you something. There are a few ways around this for the more tech-savvy by using custom router firmware or third-party DNS blockers. If you're interested, check out this article here. So now we'll take the remote and just hit the little Home button to bring up the menu bar. Here you have all of your apps, everything that you could ever want, the gallery as well, so that you can play photos through the cloud. Over here we have the home menu so that you could check for your Samsung account. Then we have the ambient mode, which will just put up some photos in case you're interested in having the TV on and showing some images that you might not actually have. Your extra apps, just in case you want to download anything new, or all the other ones that don't fit on this bar down here. A search in case you're looking for something that you can't find. The sources for any sort of HDMI stuff that you have, or anything else that's connected wirelessly to the TV. And finally, the picture settings, which we will get into afterwards. So this TV also supports voice remote, so what you can do is by pressing the little microphone button, open YouTube. And it's as simple as that. You can also do it to change a couple TV settings, but it's not useful for really getting into the nitty-gritty of changing your TV settings. For gaming, you really can't go wrong. It's essential that you enable game mode from the General Settings tab. This will enable the low latency mode in the TV so that you can enjoy your gaming experience with the least amount of latency. As long as you have HDMI-CEC+ enabled, whenever you start a game on your console, it will automatically switch into game mode using ALLM, so you don't have to worry about switching it manually. If you're trying to get VRR to work, it's actually really easy. Enable game mode and make sure your VRR of choice has been enabled, and that's it. These TVs support all the most popular VRR, so whether you've managed to get an RTX card, or if you've got your Xbox Series X, or a FreeSync GPU, you'll be able to take advantage of VRR. For HDR gaming, you'll want to make sure Input Signal Plus is enabled. This will allow the TV to open up the full bandwidth of the port. Normally, that's where I'd stop talking about it, but unfortunately, Samsung does a weird thing with that setting. Anytime you unplug something from one of the ports, it resets Input Signal Plus to off. That means if you've got a lot of devices and you unplug them often, you'll always have to check that setting. You'll also need to make sure this setting is enabled in order to take advantage of any 4K at 120 Hz content on a PS5, Xbox Series X, or PC. So now that we have this remote, we're going to go into the picture settings. First step is to go into General, External Device Manager, make sure that HDMI-CEC+ is enabled. Game mode settings, you just want to turn game mode on. It's going to overwrite all of your picture settings. It might darken the screen, but if it's too dark or you don't like it, just go straight up to picture settings, expert settings, brightness as high or as low as you want. So in order to see if your VRR or anything is working, we're going to use our Xbox Series X, which you can see right here. This will bring up our 4K 120 Hz right away going in our Xbox Series X. You hit the center button and you can see VRR is enabled. We have previously enabled it in the Xbox's settings so that it would be like that, but it's as simple as that. If you're interested in getting the best settings for movies, you don't have to worry about too much. To start, you should disable all the eco mode settings if you're looking to get the most accurate image. These settings can change the brightness based on the image, so it could be distracting or completely remove details from the image. For SDR content, we found that the movie mode is the most accurate picture mode out of the box and allows for the most customization. In the expert settings, this is where you'll be able to affect the contrast, backlight, and color settings. We find that the color tone warm 2 is the most accurate color temperature, but if you don't like warmer tones, you can always switch to cool, although it's technically less accurate. The Q80T and Q90T have a local dimming feature which allows the screen to dim or brighten backlit zones on the screen. There's no way to turn it off completely unless you go into the service menu, but setting the local dimming to high will get you the brightest image and most aggressive local dimming. That said, the aggressive local dimming can crush out some details in bright or dark scenes, so setting it to medium can help to show a bit more detail. The Q70T does not support local dimming. There's also the contrast enhancer feature that can help to brighten the parts of the screen if you feel it's too dim. Unfortunately, this may also darken the darker spots in a scene, so it may depend on the content you're watching as to whether you want it on or not. Some people find our recommended settings to be a bit dull. If you're not interested in the most accurate picture, you can really make the image pop by setting the color temperature to cool, putting the color setting up, and increasing the contrast, and making sure you have the backlight maxed out. For HDR content, you'll want to make sure that input signal plus is enabled on the port you're playing the content from, unless it's from the TV directly. Samsung TVs do not support Dolby Vision, so if you're watching Netflix, you'll get regular HDR10. However, they do support HDR10+, which is currently playable on specific 4K UHD Blu-rays and on some Amazon Prime content. As for recommended picture mode, the movie picture mode is our choice. In general, we recommend you leave the picture settings to their defaults in HDR. However, if you find the HDR image to be a bit too dim, you can set the contrast enhancer to medium and the ST2084 to its maximum setting. If you're a fan of smoother motion in your video, you can enable a feature called motion interpolation. You can find those settings in the Picture Clarity tab outside of Game Mode. Turning the option to Custom will enable interpolation, and you can adjust the judder reduction until you find a setting you like. Keep in mind that interpolation can introduce fuzziness or artifacts into the image, so play with it carefully. There's also LED motion clarity that will enable the BFI feature. Most of these settings highly depend on personal preference and what type of content you're consuming, so play around with it until you find something you like, or just disable it completely. If you want to know more about motion interpolation, check out this video here. So now we'll take the remote, and just as a reminder for any HDR content, you absolutely need to make sure that in the general settings, input signal plus is enabled on the HDMI that you're using. Thankfully, at this time, we're going to be switching to Amazon Prime to quickly look at the settings. Go back into the settings. Right off the bat, if I go back here, you can see it's an HDR10+. So that's something that is particular to Samsung's on Amazon Prime. The movie picture mode, and then you can see the settings are different. I haven't changed anything, but the TV automatically changes these settings to be max everything for HDR10+. It also changes things behind the scenes, but as far as what we can see, it looks great. Down here, Warm 2, Gamma ST2084 is just a different gamma curve that HDR uses. So if you find the screen to be too dark, this is a good setting to bring up. You might not see a lot on the black background of this, but in real scene and real content, you'll see the gray level go up. For TV shows, you'll want to follow the same recommendations for movies. And again, feel free to play around depending on the show and see if you prefer a brighter image or some interpolation to smooth out some movement. It's a personal preference if you want some of your favorite shows to be smoother. So if you want the soap opera effect or some motion interpolation, you'll open up the menu again, go into the settings, stick in picture, into the expert settings, and go down to the picture clarity settings that I mentioned earlier. For us, you can put it on custom, and all you want to do is change the judder reduction. If you're a sports fan, you don't have too much to worry about. Keep the same picture mode we recommend for movies and TV shows. The things to keep in mind is interpolation and BFI. We don't recommend using any interpolation when watching sports. Because the sports content has a lot of fast movement, it's more likely to have fuzziness or artifacts with interpolation, which means you can more easily lose track of a puck or ball. BFI may be an option for you while watching sports, but it does cause the screen to flicker, which can by itself be distracting. Keep in mind, enabling BFI also lowers the brightness of the backlight, which may make the screen too dark for you. Experiment with it and see if it works for you. So if you want to enable the BFI, we're going to go back into the settings, into the picture expert settings, picture clarity settings where the interpolation is, hit custom, and turn LED clear motion. So right away you could see the screen is darker, and if you look really carefully, you might be able to see it flickering. However, you can adjust the brightness, but it's never going to be as bright as without BFI. Since it's inserting black frames, it'll make the entire screen darker. If you want to make it a little bit brighter, you can put the brightness to max as well as messing with contrast enhancer. However, the problem with contrast enhancer and BFI is that it can make the flicker even more noticeable since the screen will be brighter when it is not inserting black frames. If you want to use any of these screens as a computer monitor, you're in luck. When plugging in a PC, the TV will automatically switch to PC mode, which allows for low input lag and proper 444 chroma subsampling. This means you'll get a crisp and clear text for PC use. The only thing to keep in mind is that PC mode has its own picture modes, so if you want to use your calibrated movie picture settings, you'll have to change the input source type in the menu to something else. This will get rid of proper 444 and low input lag, so it's up to you based on whether you use a PC to watch your movies or if you just want to browse the internet or play games. So first we'll take the remote and open up the menu again, but this time, instead of going to the settings, we're going to stop at source. So right now we're connected to what the TV thinks is a Blu-ray player. If you click up and hit edit, you'll see a whole list of things. Normally these things don't change at all, but PC is actually going to change, and the second I change it, you'll be able to see. It's a little bit brighter, it's a little bit cooler. So some people might just like that picture mode. However, if we go into the settings, there are only two, standard and dynamic. The expert settings haven't changed too much. You can't change the color, there's no picture clarity, no contrast enhancer, so you really can't make it much brighter in PC mode. But the point of PC mode is that it has proper 444 chroma subsampling and that it has low input lag. If you do have a PC and you want to switch it out, it's the exact same thing. Just go to the source, hit edit, and then change it to anything else, and you'll have your calibrated picture mode while on a PC. As I mentioned earlier, you're able to see the refresh rate and resolution the TV is displaying at any time. It's very helpful when trying to make sure that the TV is being sent the signal you want it to, whether it's when gaming or just when watching some movies. You just take the remote, hit the center button. Right now we're showing 1920 by 1080p at 60 Hz. However, we can go over to our Xbox. You can see game mode gets turned on automatically thanks to ALM. We hit the button. We're doing 4K, VRR is enabled, and 120 Hz, as well as input signal plus. So that means that we're able to get HDR when a game starts that supports HDR content. But very simple little trick to make sure that what you're doing, what signal you're sending is correct. The Samsung Q-Series TVs are great TVs with a good selection of options for anyone trying to customize their TV for their own preferences. It's nice to see that these TVs have very similar settings. Whether you have the Q70T, the Q80T, or Q90T, you'll be able to maneuver the menus and customize your TV until it fits your personal preferences. I highly encourage you guys to play around with the settings yourself while watching your favorite content. You might be surprised by the things your TV can do to make your picture look even better. So what do you think of these settings? Have you tried them? Let us know what you think below. Also, we're currently hiring in our offices in Montreal for various positions. So if you want to help people find the best products for their needs, have a look at the careers page on our website. You can check out all the measurements on our website. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel. You can also become an insider on the website for early access to our latest results. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.